Hello everyone and welcome to another Starfield video. My name's Brian if you happen to be new to this channel, but if you're a part of this absurd number of 72,787 future everyday millionaires, welcome back and welcome into the channel. In fact, some of you guys have been leaving amazing messages like Vanessa here. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in Class Dismissed. We're going to focus Class Dismissed on giving you guys some hope and hopefully a plan to really start to change your life and make it all the better. But since I believe in transparency, I think transparency, especially when it comes down to what this is, content creation, I think this is the answer to help truly remove the doubt and show everything. So that's why I show you how much money the channel makes. And for the first time in history, it truly is actually starting to make some money. This is absolutely absurd. Generally speaking, I run the channel at a loss, or I run it at break even for the costs that I incur. And I thank you guys so much for watching the videos this last month. It's been so exciting to see that number go up, but more than anything else, you guys crushed the last video with over like 2,000 likes. You've subscribed to this channel. Almost 2,000 people subscribed to this channel in one day. Welcome in, welcome back. We've got a lot to talk about, and it is the frustration that I have with games media and journalism. This is building up from yesterday Eurogamer news. We're going to cover it all in this video, so let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, you could preload the game today if you're a PC gamer. In fact, I've already got it installed and I'm ready to go for tomorrow. We're going to be doing a live stream. It's already scheduled on the channel. Come hang out. We'll be counting down to the launch of the game itself. I'm going to bring up Lord Addict first, saying, as someone who is playing Starfield that can't say much because of the NDA, guys, respect those NDAs out there. I will say this: let the people hate, wait for it to come out, and that energy is going to shut them down for just a few. So this in and of itself, like, this is one of the things that I keep saying is like, I'm not worried about the hate. I'm not worried about the speculation. I'm not worried about any of it. The game just has to be good. And honestly, at the end of the day, I'm wondering if it's going to be real quiet come Friday, where people are just like, yep, time to play. Now we're not necessarily all sitting in this Starfield waiting room. Now, what's interesting, I'm going to highlight ACG here, says, if you dressed up as someone intelligent on Halloween, you'd be arrested for fraud. Quote tweeting John, and I went to do some research on John here, just created their account. So, but most of their tweets are just rage bait inducing, numbness here. And he says, if you're reviewing Starfield and you give it a high score, I hope you lose your job. And this is kind of just continues to highlight just the pit of my stomach, the things that just generally frustrate me as a gamer. Because if you guys are new, and we've got so many new faces around here, like, I have a job, I work hard, I provide for my 6 kids and my wife, and I am living my dream, and I'm living the best life because of sacrifices that I've been making in order to try and just afford the world, which we really can't. But we don't go on vacations. I haven't had a new car in almost 20 years. Like, these are some of the things that I choose to change my life. And when I see this kind of stuff, this nonsense about game reviews and wanting people to lose their job, it frustrates me to no end. And it's not that it's just the commenters who are wrong here. It's also the journalists, aka in quotes, the establishment media, honestly, and certain influencers. We're going to talk about some here. We're not holding back. I'm bringing some haymakers here for you in today's video, so I hope you enjoy it. Now, J-Dub says, gamers, journalists shouldn't have to beg Microsoft Bethesda into giving non-biased entities review copies of their game. Great games are hater-proof. What do they have to be scared of? It's not like there is invisible barriers to anything, right? Now, this is to confirm that your gamer has finally gotten their copy from Bethesda. Based off, and I don't necessarily think it truly was the article itself, because I think this is probably just them. It's Microsoft putting a flex in. I also wonder if there's any kind of CMA related, because in their article they talked about how UK is getting kind of ignored by Microsoft and Bethesda. And honestly, I think that this is just Microsoft and Bethesda knowing that it isn't actually about Starfield. And that's the bigger thing here. It's about what happens next after Starfield, and then what's next. If Microsoft is delivering 4 AAA, quality games a year, this is going to be something that you're going to see happen often, and you're going to start to see people change their tone. This cost Eurogamer tens of thousands of dollars because I know for a fact from the numbers perspective, the game and those that I've talked to, that is all really about being first. If you're not first, you're forgotten, and that's part of the problem. We're going to cover that more when we get there. But as a side note, I've seen people talk about how that I shouldn't use content from Reforged or Jay or this person or that person. Don't tell me what I can do and what I can say. You don't own me or this channel. And the good news is you also don't owe me anything either. That's the beautiful thing about this relationship. I can tell you the truth and you don't have to take it. You can always just actually, let's talk about doing a positive thing in this case. Rather than tell me what or who I shouldn't, talk about or highlight or reference, tell me who I should. If you guys got good people out there that you like, the best way you help them is you share them. You tell me about them. I always like checking out new people. So we'll just leave it at that. Now, I'm going to bring up this clip here from Reaver because it's just not a Microsoft thing. If you think that the industry is this wholesome and has these standards, like at the end of the day, like this hopefully is a good wake-up call. And I want to highlight Sony doing the same damn thing.
The state of gaming journalism these days, it's hardly proper journalism. They are not objective in any way, shape or form. You know how I know this? Because Sony blacklists any influencer, games journalist, reporter, streamer, whatever, who doesn't toe the company line 100% on toe, who takes a bat to Sony, who criticizes Sony in any way, shape or form publicly. They will happily blacklist them and never work with them again. That means no more PR communications, no more review samples, no more early access, no more press events, no more anything at all. You know how I know this? Because I'm blacklisted by Sony for something I said to one of their PR reps years ago, because they invited me to an event, say, hey, we're going to have a big launch, there's going to be a big reveal, you can't miss it, please come along. So I went along and it was nothing. And I said, hey, you told me something interesting was going to happen here. Nothing interesting happened here. You wasted my time. You've wasted my day. That's not a good thing to do to me. I'm kind of pissy at you right now. And after that day, no more emails ever again from Sony. Ever. For that.
And it isn't just with Reaver, because we have news about Yahtzee and how they've done their reviews, especially for like The Escapist, and how their tone and coverage doesn't necessarily vibe with it. This isn't some great mystery. This shouldn't be news, but if it is for some, welcome in. The hypocrisy of all of this ends up being something where I truly, and I don't judge anybody who views this differently, but I just don't trust the access media, the grind to get that kind of access, because at the end of the day, PR just wants to get the word out. I rather listen to voices that have money in or on the table, right? You've put money down. I'd rather listen to you because you're going to have a closer relationship with me, because that's what I do. I go to work, I play games, I buy the games, or I'm a part of Game Pass. And in the case of Starfield, I'm doing both, baby, because I'm silly. Anyway, to highlight this more, David Jaffe kind of, puts this together. I think this is important. He says, if you built your business on access to early games to review, to draw traffic, and you get what you deserve when you piss those people off who provide you that access, and other than the top 1%, your business model is antiquated and not long for this world. He goes on to clarify to a comment that was left on that saying, I feel I missed out some context, but this is on point. David says, I'm just sick of seeing these pros, semi-pros, and content folks ignoring their real audience, us. Not the US in this case, us, you and me as gamers, and being such groveling little bitches just to be able to play Starfield first. It gets and drives traffic, but the most of it is short-lived and it becomes hard to trust these outlets. And trust is the key aspect of it. I believe in transparency as a form of trust. That's why I share my stats with you guys every month. I do a deep dive over on my Twitter or my X. You can follow me there, or you can also just check out my anti-Marxist rants. Apparently, people really enjoy that. That was surprising for me to learn, but guys, there's so much that we need to still cover in today's video. I said this is going to be a banger of a video, and if you've made it this far and you haven't hit that like button, please do so. It really, I don't know why I put a D in front of that. It really does help me out quite a lot, and I appreciate it. Captain Omorka says, I appreciate IGN going full mask off lately, from forgetting that games still release on Xbox to the Xbox podcast host actively trying to downplay the biggest release in years. I can feel confident in never going to that site again for anything serious ever again. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to highlight Kareem here because just the text of the quote I think is truly interesting, and then we're gonna go through the actual highlighting clip to really kind of highlight what I think is one of the core problems that we're experiencing within games media today. Kareem says, I wonder why Eurogamer got blocked from getting Starfield review codes. Gone are the days to give a game a chance. Now all we get are reviewers with edgy nonsense and hot takes for clicks. No one even reviews anymore. Why are all these journalists trying to be influencers? And before we watch the clip, there's just a couple of thoughts that pop into my head about just this statement alone, because it's just that powerful. This in and of itself really shows how games journalism has changed over the years. Once, in my mind, it kind of really kicks off with Kind of Funny, and this isn't me throwing shade at Kind of Funny, but because we saw so many people leave IGN to establish this other brand, because when they were at IGN, they weren't allowed to talk about video games on YouTube because IGN was worried that YouTube was going to cannibalize them. They were correct in this regards, but because we then saw people leave and start their own companies and be successful, yes, they have good working relationships now, but the model has shifted. They're not trying to hire journalists, etc. They're trying to have people have a launching pad for their quote unquote influencer, which is a disgusting word, and I hate when people call me that. But if I can do so and influence you in the world of good and to make your lives better, then at least I can sleep better at night, as opposed to like trying to keep you guys artificially hyped about, distractions. I love video games. I always will. But, at the end of the day, they're additive to my life. They aren't my life in this case. Now, let's highlight the clip because I think it really shows some interesting kind of context.
Prepare for the most comprehensive deep dive we've ever done for the biggest game we've ever built. So sit tight and enjoy Starfield Direct.
Open mind, open mind.
Yep, we're going in with an open mind. Definitely. Now, Starfield, this is it. Tell us why we should be interested in this game.
I love the Starfield logo.
Yeah, I love this branding. I thought it was going to be like
gorgeous.
I thought it was going to be like retrofuturism, like
It
Alien.
is a bit 60s, yeah.
Would
or
have
70s.
loved that, but it feels, I don't know.
What a brown planet.
Starfield is
Aoife,
our first
you
new
manifested
universe,
this.
unlimited possibilities.
And a filter from
But this time,
2014.
it's not
Yeah,
full
see,
star
I just
systems
prefer them when they
with
talk
new
when they
resources,
zero in and talk
and
about like
adventures.
the experiences. Don't talk about these thousands of worlds. I don't care about that.
Dogfighting in space
I hate
and
dogfighting in
exploring
any game.
derelict ships.
Together until we either find an artifact
She's
or
got
this
a
lead
voice that
runs
could
dry.
cut glass. Because I
if you're
can't
looking for a
get
little
really
extra
excited
help on
about
your
this
ship,
sort of
you
stuff
can
where it's like,
always
oh,
hire
you get
additional
it's
crew at
always
spaceports.
very surface level.
Okay, this game
One
is
that
selling
gives
me
you a
more and more
damage
the
buff
more we
when your health is low.
Good, yeah,
Mercenaries will randomly
that's.
show
I mean, I'm
up
glad.
and try to
Yeah.
kill you.
And when I listen to them talk, it does feel like they're just trying to create those kind of viral moments. It feels artificial to me. I don't know if it feels artificial to you, but at the end of the day, this is them playing silly games and winning silly prizes. Like that is what it is. And this move by Microsoft, this move by everybody, like, hey, it just hopefully tells everybody what the game is that the PR and this media plays, for better or for worse. But beyond that in and of itself, it says, hey, we're not messing around. You need to start, at least if nothing else, covering us more than what you've been doing. And I think it's gonna be interesting to see from this point forward what happens next, because it isn't just a message to Eurogamer, it's a message to everybody that Microsoft isn't playing this game in the sense of, or the traditional way. They want that coverage. And honestly, I think any coverage, positive or negative, is coverage. It is PR. It is, people are talking about it. But this is where I just start to lose a lot of faith and a lot of frustration. I'm gonna highlight Dreamcast guy here, says, Sea of Stars is a retro star RPG that I've always wanted. And the highlight here isn't that, and honestly, if you guys haven't played Sea of Stars, I've really enjoyed the demo. It is on my to play list sometime this year. But the honest review, guys, like this term angers me because it's just bullshit. Because at the end of the day, who's out there going like, well, this is my dishonest review? And in that contrast, it's like, are you kidding me? But we know this term works. We've seen this works. And why are, like, somebody who's honest doesn't need to say that they're honest. And this isn't, you know, I don't care if you like Dreamcast guy or not. I'm not knocking the guy for playing the game. And that's what almost all of this is. This YouTube and journalism hypocrisy is all this silly game for silly prizes. And I want to highlight two more comments before we get into class dismissed for you guys. Pyro says, I feel like Starfield could score 100 on Metacritic and some people would still hate on it. And I would push back on that as a mindset. There will still be some people, but again, if you put those people in a room with everybody who's having fun with the game, you'd never hear them, you never see them. This is just an effect of social media. Being a positive is that it allows you to raise your voice and be heard. It doesn't mean you have anything important to say. And so maybe, I don't know, take a moment and consider if what you're putting out there is something that you want to be reading like in 60 years when you're retiring, going like, yeah, that was a really good tweet. You know, I don't know, take a moment, take a breath, you know, don't label it honest. This is my honest opinion. You know, it's your opinion, you know. let's just be real. And then I butchered this name last time, but I'm going to say Frit Anga. Hopefully I got that right. Played says, I can't believe how much people are upset about me just stating this. The fact that the top sellers right now is Starfield, just beating out Baldur's Gate, which is an incredible game, and you should take some time to play that as well. So guys, with this, we're going to enter into class dismissed. Thank you so much for joining for the video game coverage. This is where we start to talk about some real stuff. And hopefully this part of the video is going to bring you some hope and some joy to your day. So if nothing else, giving you a plan. Because one of the reasons why I want to get you out of debt, and if you aren't paying attention, on September 12th, Dave Ramsey is going to be doing a free live stream about your student loans. So I'm going to try to include a link in the description to that information for you, because these are coming up and honestly, they're set to ruin your life. At the end of the day, as much as I've been hearing lies and, you know, things like that from gaming, it's the same thing I hear from just general media and the government personally. So I'm a hopeful cynic, if you were going to describe me as anything like that. But at the end of the day, the best way for you to get free is to pay off your debt. The best way to pay off your debt is to pay off the smallest to the largest, and the best way to get that going is to make sure you have a budget, and we'll probably try to talk about more budgeting here in the future, just to get you guys the tools that you need to win in this game of life. Now, the reason why I want to highlight this, we're gonna talk about Gil Pira, so we bring him up. Unfortunately, their mother passed away in February, and then because of that, because they went to go visit their mom, they lost their job. And I'm gonna talk to them directly, but this is also to anybody else out there, because again, you're worth surviving for. I've seen my dad go through something so similar. I want to talk about that in great degree, but I want to bring up Vincent first, saying, Ginger, my friend, I found you through Starfield coverage, and I have subscribed because I'm a 25-year-old dude trying to get my life together better. I just started school and I'm trying to live better with my needs. It's nice to hear about this game. I like also the stuff about in life in the same video. It's a weird combination. It is a weird combination, but it has a good vibe. Thank you, man. So honestly, Vincent can be an everyday millionaire probably by the time they're 40s, if they don't get sucked into the lie that credit cards are going to help you build a credit score and that your credit score is a good thing. When you realize that you could have $1 million in the bank and a 300 credit score or a 0 credit score, you realize it's just bullshit to sell you bullshit. And that's where we need to get as a society. I need to get you not angry, but just determined. Put a fire under your ass and sit here and say, you know what? I'm sick of living in fear. And this ties into what Gil Pira lived. Now, like I've shared my story, when I was 17, we lost everything. I watched my dad basically live on the couch for a year, just fighting depression, because I can't imagine what he went through. But I'm afraid of going through it, because it doesn't feel good to be a man, a provider, and then all of a sudden you can't provide. And what is your identity at that point? Now, it took a lot of work and etc. But if he was able to finally get up off that couch, and I applaud him for that struggle. But I tell you, this was something that he really suffered with, and he's not alone. And Gilbert says, in this case, their mother passed away in February. I live in a different state than she did. When I got the call, I didn't have long to live. I requested time off through my job because my mother was on life support, was denied, and I was told that it was not a good reason to leave, and I went anyway. I got to see my mother one last time, but on the drive, they called and fired me. She passed away 5 days later. I have been out of work ever since. The financial burden on myself is more specifically on my wife, who's paying everything at the moment, has me in an even deeper depression, and I would already be in based on my loss. We're at the breaking point where my car may be repossessed, and I've been in a super dark place for a long time. Gaming has been the main thing, aside from my wife and son, that keeps me going. I know that there is light somewhere, I just can't see it. I appreciate you sharing your struggles, and I hope that everyone reading this finds their light at the end of the tunnel. I hope I can find mine before it's too late. If you guys are having serious depression, I'm going to also try to include the link in the description so that you guys can get some resources, call somebody, get some help. You're worth surviving. In fact, like this in and of itself, it never feels great when you're going through it, but after you go through it, you're so much more powerful to help other men and women through these hard times. Because the thing that makes us human is suffering. You'll never find another human on this planet who has not suffered. It makes you more human, and thus, honestly, try to embrace the suffering. As Christ embraced the cross, you embrace your suffering. In this case, it sucks, and I'm not going to tell you it doesn't suck, but here's where it gets good. Now, if you guys know, I don't have a direct way to contact Gilbert. We're talking about it here. I said you can reach up in the DMs on Discord. Ideally, there is a great network of people, and sometimes you got to start working your human network. Does anybody need any jobs done? Is there any odd jobs that I can do? Any work will end up, starting to lift that depression somewhat. Also, maybe consider taking vitamin D. I don't know if you guys are like me, massively vitamin D deficient. Check with your doctor. I'm not a doctor, but one of the things that's helped me out dramatically is making sure my hormone levels are actually at the right level. So you could also be experiencing, for me, like I was having a lot of low testosterone related problems, and I didn't know it until I begged my doctor to test it. Anyway, also, I would probably sell your car. Don't let them take it. Own it, and, go get a beater. Like I have, even if I lost my job, even if, YouTube's never been the thing I'm shooting for. But even if that happened, no one's coming to get my car because I own my car. Like there's no payments on it. And that's the world that I want you to live in, because imagine how less stress you would feel if this happened and you've been out of work since February, but nobody, you owe nobody anything. And then ultimately you could get by. Like my whole thing is how many burgers can I flip to make sure that I'm paying the utility bills? Because obviously there's still expenses, etc. But there is hope, Gilbert, and I want you to get radical and get up and get to work on anything, even if it's not paying right away. There is gotta be something out there. And even if it's below you, at this moment, you're gonna feel so good getting shit done that it literally just can change your life. And so, man, I'm praying for you. And if I don't have endless jobs that are just behind me, looking for people, but maybe somebody here in the video or in the comments or something like that, we can get in contact. So sync up on the Discord, and that could end up hopefully being something to help. But also, again, never hurt yourself. Reach out, pick up the phone, call for help. It is worth it. You are worth it. Anyway, guys, this was a big one. This was a heavy one. Hopefully you enjoyed overall. I can't express this enough that this is so important for me to do. And even if one of you just decides to change your life by changing your attitude towards money, you can hopefully avoid some of these things, because unfortunately bad times will happen to us all, but that's just the human condition. And I just love you guys so much that I have to tell you that. And that's even if you unsubscribe, even if this wave of hype with Starfield dies down and people, you're welcome to always stick around, but you're also welcome to go and find something you enjoy. That's the hope that I try to put in every video that I make. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. But until then, take care.